Ricardo checking in once again. I wanted to do a quick install video today. I bought a new roof rack for the Ford Ranger Tremor 2021. The exact model that we have is the XLT version, as you can see. But these steps should pretty much encompass all ranges, all models, except for the Super Cab, obviously. We just wanted to add some more storage space on top of the roof rack. Plenty of room up there, unused space. I want to store things like a canopy, some chairs, a table, you know, things that we don't mind getting wet or hitting the elements or whatnot. I got it from Frontrunner. From my understanding, they've been around for quite some time. One of the reasons we went with this specific model was because of the low profile of it. As you can see, there's really not that much clearance when the garage door is open. And I really do prefer storing the Ranger inside the garage as opposed to outside the garage for, you know, safety and security reasons. Anyways, wanted to show you a quick video. Gonna be installing it, drilling into the roof of my truck. We'll make it happen. Go ahead and pull out this rubber gasket, just enough for you to be able to work on certain parts here. There's that bolt right there. This is the passenger front. There'll be another one on the driver's side as well. So that's about a 10mm bolt. And just be very careful because this is near the airbags. On my research, some people actually took out their battery just to prevent, you know, a faulty deployment of the airbags, which wouldn't be fun. The back bolt is actually just going to be right up here. Gonna have to reach in right here. It's hard to see where the bolt is. You kind of just have to feel it. Trust me on this. Once you get your hand behind the airbags, it's kind of just sticking out there. You'll probably be able to reach a socket, a 10mm socket right there, and remove it. All right, hopefully you can see the bolt. It's kind of difficult to reach, but you'll get it. Better when you start connecting longer bits to reach up. Just be careful because the airbags are right here. Alright guys, so I'm going to try to remove this black trim here. I removed the two bolts, the one in the A-pillar and one near the back of the cab. So I have a plastic pry tool, and I also have a metal one if it's gonna give me any trouble. But I wrapped it in electric tape so I don't scratch the paint or whatnot. Alright, so this is what it looks like. Here's the back bolt. Here's the front bolt. I'm gonna save this. I'll debate whether I need to cut this and put it back, or I'll just keep it and reinstall it if I want to take the rack off later. So here's one of the bolts holes, and here's the back back one right there. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. There's a lot of adhesive here, but peels off well. Take the time later on and kind of peel it off. There's that one bolt. Unfortunately on this one, I think I broke the part that connects here, but I don't think we'll be reusing this part later on, so it'll be just fine. Alright guys, so I wanted to show you the current state of progress. I removed this rubber gasket here, pulled out this pillar, the visors, the part that covers the driver's side, the driver seat belt. Same thing with this rubber gasket. You have to peel this part down here to access the bolts in the back. There's one bolt here and another bolt near the A-pillar right about here. You have to peel this back as well. Remove the bracket that holds the passenger rear and the driver rear seat belts. I pulled off the black weather stripping up here. I still have to remove some of this stuff to expose the holes, as you can see. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and start to assemble the rack itself. I think about halfway. I think that was probably the hardest part. It took me about an hour and a half. Here's most of the parts separated. I only took out a few slats, as I'm only going to assemble 2 or 3 different slats, just so it's going to be easier for me to mount on top. I actually used a stop for my drill bit. This is going to be my pilot hole before I use my step bit. Alright everybody, point of no return. For the Frontrunner rack you actually had to drill 6 holes. This last hole farthest to the left is not actually used. We're going to use the hole that was originally on the top, front, and I created this one right here behind it. Alright, so each foot has these 2 spacers, and in each of these spacers I put quite a bit of RTV. That's the rear, and one in the front over there in the driver, and then also one in the driver rear. Next step is we're going to take these 6 bolts. We're going to feed it through the 6 holes that I made on the roof of the truck, and then on the other end I'm going to put these are going to be the nuts that'll accept them, and I'm going to put some RTV around the lip as well, so there'll be some water protection on the inside of the truck. Alright guys, so I covered the OEM hole here. There's a cap and some RTV. Hopefully that'll prevent all the water from getting in. Something out of Lowe's. It's my daily driver. But look what I got. If it'll focus, pretty badass. Alright everybody, so we just left Lowe's. I just left Lowe's. Needed a couple more parts to comfortably install the rack on the roof. So I got some double-sided tape that's going to help me mount the trim pieces on top of the roof rack. I'm going to be cutting that and making it fit. Well, I got a couple more, and then I got a couple more Torx bits, because I think the Torx bits I have at home are garbage. So I got these DeWalt impact ready Torx bits. Hopefully they don't, they grip better and makes it easier for me to put the slats in. One of the reasons I really wanted to get this rack over the other ones is that a lot of people complain about the process in which you have to use a rivet gun to, for the Prinsu rack or all the other racks that I've seen online. So this Frontrunner rack doesn't use the rivet. They just use kind of a hex bolt and bolts underneath to mount the rack in onto the roof. But this seems to be a lot more difficult, just because I guess they're both difficult in their own ways. There's really not much left for me to install in the rack, just the slats, a couple more bolts. I'm going to go ahead and put a lot of RTV on the roof just to make sure there's no water damage, that would occur when it rains. And so far, in regards to the difficulty of installing the Frontrunner Slimline roof rack on the Ranger, I think it's harder than installing the Ranger headlights, which were a pain. Much harder than installing a leveling kit on my Ranger as well. Pretty difficult, but we'll get it done. Here's our starting point for this morning. I got 3 slats and the 2 bars up top. And to install the wind fairing, you actually have to remove this front slat in order to slide a bolt underneath. So I'm going to remove that first, and then I'll get the wind fairing on. I'm going to put the protective clear strip where the rubber contacts the paint. So I'm just going to use this masking tape as a guide to where to put the tape. I actually quite like these Frontrunner decals up here in the front. So make sure you put this one in first before you bolt it in, because I had to remove this bolt and do the whole fishing for the bolt nut again. Alright everyone, I got the 4 feet, 8 bolts through the roof of the cab. Pretty secure, tightened it down as hard as I could with by hand, obviously. Now the next step is for me to go ahead and put the last 4 slats on. Alright everyone, so I pretty much have the rack on the roof of my Ranger. It took about a day and a half. Spent like 8 hours yesterday and about another 4 hours today. So I'm at that point where I have to come back and go ahead and retrace my steps and taking apart the interior. That so shouldn't be too bad. I'm going to give you a view, show you what everything looks like from up top. You can see I put a lot of the RTV, the black RTV, on any of the weak points that I think would benefit from, you know, preventing the water. So I kind of went overboard. It's not the prettiest job I've ever done. As you can see, if you can see that, you see all the caulk, the black RTV. But I'd rather have, you know, it looking a little bit messy than mold developing in the interior of my roof. Be cutting right here. It's going to be the back end. All right, everyone, so that was the installation for the Frontrunner Slimline 2 rack for my Ford Ranger Tremor. I'll show you how it looks. Fits perfectly in my garage. As you can see, it's still lower than the antenna in the back. So the antenna is kind of like the high water mark for what I could fit into the garage. Again, it took about a day and a half. I made a lot of mistakes. I learned a lot of things. I'm not overly thorough in my video, but a random guy with minimal tools, simple tools, tools that most people should be able to install this. You definitely want to get a high quality Torx bit set, because that really helps put in the Torx bits for the slats. And also, yeah, take your time, use a lot of adhesive, silicone, slather it on. And sometimes it pays to have another person help you out. Looks pretty sweet. I'm about to take it on a test drive. And maybe later down the line, when I've used it for a couple of weeks or months, I'll do a thorough review of it. Pretty solid. Thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.